What is your strangest, yet most effective coping skill? Probably my ability to forge Disney princess autographs. When I feel unhappy, this is the #1 method I have that keeps me happy. Go to the gym. Nothing to release stress and rage in a constructive way than to throw metal objects around. Completely understand the throwing metal objects around, but for me it's axe throwing. I playfully argue with people about things that don't matter to get my problem out of my mind. I usually just grab the nearest object near me, even if it isn't mine, just as long as it's not important to anyone else. So rulers, staplers, erasers, glasses cases, everything is fair game. Daydream that I'm in a zombie apocalyptic world. Should I stay in one place and barricade myself? Or should I live a nomadic life? Where to get constant food and water supply? How to preserve food? How to farm food? If ever I decided to stay, how about medications and first aid? What will be my weapon of choice? If there are ammunitions, where will I get my constant supply? How to make zombie traps? How to build my base to ward off zombies? Then, in the end, realize that I can probably handle things in my current life better than being in a zombie apocalyptic world. Big boat permanently anchored on a river. Zombies walk into the river and are immediately swept away. Better hope you're not in one of those sprinter type scenarios. Honestly, those dead boys are always gonna be slow, so your plan is the real right one. I mean, if they are sprinters, there's literally zero chance of survival. Socks. Weird patterns, bright colors, fluffy or smooth, knee-high, normal or short, literally anything that makes them stand out, even if no one will see them. Whenever I feel down in the dumps, I just put on silly socks that day and instantly I feel better. Whenever I see an edge of the socks above my shoes, I smile. Socks make me happy. I have a no plain underwear or socks policy. Everything must be brightly colored, or at least have an interesting print. Best case, I cheer myself up getting dressed every day. Worst case, I momentarily amuse some medical personnel while unconscious in the ER. As an added bonus, it's easy when doing laundry because you can easily find pairs of socks. As an owner of only plain, boring socks, I always have a pair of socks because all my socks are the same. Never have to match them. That being said, I'm probably missing out on some crazy sock design fun. Knowing it doesn't matter cause I'm ready to go. Sending a hug. I'm proud of you for holding on. Humor. I use humor a lot to deal with my emotions and anxiety. It may sound great, but it isn't always, because sometimes I can't turn it off. Then people get upset that I'm joking around at a time when I should be taking things seriously. Oof. I felt this on a real level. Laughing uncomfortably has gotten me into trouble far more times than I care to admit. That's how my extended family deals with death. We always gather around and tell funny stories about a lost loved one and laugh through our tears. Dude, me too. Hospitals, funerals, happy tear moments, sad tear moments. It's all fair game. Love that I'm not the only one. I don't sleep and often find myself at the park close to my house at 3 AM with brownies and a coloring book, just chilling next to the fountain and let the page relax me and the white noise drown everything out. That sounds like happiness to me. I usually go to the wood behind my house with a lamp torch, a few beers and my tablet and read for hours to relax. Wearing masks just makes me feel incognito. Me too. Sometimes I just want to feel like no one can see my real face and turn off my self-awareness a tad. Certain Disney songs really calm me down when I'm stressing out. Hakuna Matata is a good one. But the most calming would have to be the bare necessities, easily. And NBSP, look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities. That's why a bear can rest at ease with just the bare necessities of life. You sound like my good twin. Haha, I posted in another comment that I like to listen to the Disney villain songs like Hellfire or In the Dark of the Night. People always forget that Anastasia is not a Disney movie. In the Dark of the Night is not a Disney villain song. It is absolutely awesome though. Learning to not care. Ask yourself a series of easy questions. Will this matter in 3 months? Will this matter in 10 years? Can I actively control this? Will this prevent me from living my life daily? Will this cause financial ruin? If you answered no to all of these things, then you should probably just not care about it. It's pretty simple. Only worry about what you have an active stake in controlling. Yes, a bridge might fall on you when you're driving, and the plane you're flying on might crash, but that's nothing you could ever plan for in a million years, so just don't worry about it. What happens if I answer yes to all of these? 1. Lay down. 2. Try not to cry. 3. Cry. I must have been born missing some wiring, because I have the ability not to give a FK. I love my friends and family, but I'm able to cut someone out of my life, and not even think twice about it. I've never understood drama, the people with drama in their lives, or movies or shows depicting it. If I don't like something or someone, I just move on. I have this ability too. I just wish I worked for depression as well. You are not alone. I too have the ability to shut myself off to someone and just don't care about them at all. That is very helpful when you have some friends and some at your workplace, school, because you can only focus on your friends. It doesn't matter what your enemies say. I've always been this way as well, but it's probably worth noting that I have ASPD, and so I'm probably a bit of an outlier. Emotional maturity and control, best superpower to have these days. Sitting laying on the floor, essentially grounding myself in the moment. Personally, I find knitting to be very soothing, just zoning out and listening to YouTube or something random while you do rows and rows of garter stitches very relaxing. It keeps your hands busy and you end up with a blanket or scarf after a while. I've tried knitting and I'm horrible at it. It's mainly practice, but just finding something to generally fiddle with is helpful. Maybe try a different craft. I'm also terrible at knitting, but I picked up crochet really fast. It might just take some trial and error to find the right craft. Plenty of other things could give you the same effect. Adult coloring books, for example. My therapist actually taught me this. I often get too deep into my feelings that I cannot get out. So whenever I feel super upset, I pretend I'm grocery shopping and I'm looking for something to fill my cart with something that starts with the letter A. I think of apples, so I get apples. Then I go find something to fill my cart with something that starts with the letter B. Bananas. Get them. Then go get something that starts with the letter C, so on and so forth. It's a short mindless game which gets you distracted from whatever is bothering you. I use something similar to calm down my toddler before bed. I tell her a story about a girl going on vacation with her mom and dad. In smallest details I describe how she got downstairs in the morning, her breakfast, and got in the cab with her parents. Then I tell her about the cab drive to the airport, luggage drop off and security check. We have never made it past the security check. The story calms her down, and she usually falls asleep before the girl makes it to the airport. I make myself aware of the fact that life doesn't care, and neither should I. I sometimes go to the lake and sit in a secluded area and just stare into the horizon for a while. One day, I'll be dead, and it'll all be over. I sleep a lot, like 14 hours a day, if I'm upset or not wanting to deal with something. This is super cheesy and on the nose, so get ready. I have a stuffed Shadow the Hedgehog doll. I have a panic disorder, and a lot grounding techniques weren't working for me. One day, in the midst of an attack, the doll caught my eye. I grabbed it, clutched it closely to my chest, and whispered chaos control like a mantra. It took about 15 minutes, but it worked. Chaos control is now my panic mantra, and it works every time. I, personally, would have gone with faker. You're not even good enough to be my I'll make you eat those words aimed at whatever is gave you the panic attack. I'll keep that one in mind for next time. I cope better with feelings of anger than anything else, so I'll usually put myself in a really angry mood then go for a walk. Always calms me right down. Also, turning off the phone is pretty good for that too. I find that the calming walk is pretty useless when I'm staring at messages, which then means I finish and still need a relaxing walk, rinse and repeat. I do find that stopping the walk and just putting the phone down on a table or something really helps, and then just sit there in your own thoughts, watching the world go by. Walk is pretty good for focusing the mind. But for me, I do need to stop and process that information at some point, rather than just bottle it up. I do the same thing. Once I get angry, I feel better. I wonder why that works. Rubbing a folded over piece of fabric in between my two fingers. Jeans, cotton, silk, and grainy textures are the ones that calm me down the fastest. Commenting for later, I was going to ask the same question you did. Blast, here comes the boom on repeat for hours at a time. Pretending I'm a Disney villain while doing dishes, or vacuuming and singing along to metal covers of Hellfire, or In the Dark of the Night. I talk to myself. I imagine I'm talking to my mom. She's been telling me she hates me a lot more recently, and I tell myself everything I can't word in the moments of our fights. Or I'll talk to myself while I'm panicking or crying to get myself to relax. It's a good coping skill for when my friends can't help me. I imagine I'm them, and since I know their writing speaking style, I sort of talk myself down. Stuffed animals, to have one in my hand, make me feel more in reality. When in feeling something, I watch 50 posts. It's either something gory or adorable, and when it's gory I just interpret it and be fascinated. It calms me down, and it makes me feel insane but sane. 50 helps me out when I'm numb. Yeah, I used to watch gory stuff to make me feel uneasy, to make me remember I'm human. Now I'm apathetic about it. Daydreaming every instance I can, even if it means I'm not doing something else that I'm supposed to be working on. If you can't enjoy the real world, why not just make your own? I do this too. I have several favorite scenarios I like to daydream. I've lived many lives. Recently, it's been rubbing my forefinger with my thumb in a circular motion. I focus on that, and it can help me relax. Thinking about ducks. Ducks in cute suits. The more annoyed, angry, distressed I am, the more ridiculous and over the top the suits get. Makes me happy and occupies my brain with thoughts like, how would a duck wear dress pants? How would it wear shoes? Would it wear shoes? Basically, as long as my brain can think of nonsense, I won't start to panic. Plucking the hairs on my fingers and hands with tweezers. Not mine but my daughter. She's been doing this since she was 1. If she's getting overwhelmed, she just starts stroking her eyebrow to eyebrows. If it's especially bad, if she thinks you need help, she strokes your eyebrows. Reading really gory, scary psychological manga, kind of ironic, since I can't stand any realistic gore. This is only effective sometimes though. I laugh when I get physically hurt. I weird people out because I start laughing really hard and they can't tell if I'm actually hurt or not. I also tell jokes when I get sick. My family actually told me that I'm funnier when I'm sick. I lay down on my living room floor with my family around. I find the floor to be a comforting place, and my family knows I do this when I'm upset, but they don't make me talk about it. They know that if I wanted to talk about it I would. So I just get to be in their company on the comforting place of the floor, and I just lay there till I eventually feel better. It works most of the time. I write. I take everything that's bothering me, everything I hate about myself, and throw it onto a fictional character. But then I also give him chances to improve, escape routes that I'll never have, a call to adventure with giant robots and supernatural powers, good friends he can rely on, a meeting with a special person that will teach him how to love himself, the willpower to challenge himself and try new things, the ability to genuinely make people happy in exchange for everything they do for him. It's not easy for him, of course, but at least he can do it. At least he can overcome his own problems and take control of his life, and that's more than I could ever do. I have some strange ones: coping with anger, going out into the forest and screaming as loud as I can; coping with anxiety using motion technique to fall asleep. Yes, I do that on the bus as well. Coping with restlessness in bed, shaking every muscle in my body, making it look like I'm having a seizure. Coping with social anxiety, do nothing, just stand there and stare into the distance and waiting the anxiety out. Yoga is good for anxiety too, if you like stretching. Sometimes I'll buy nice porcelain plates at Goodwill and smash them with a baseball bat. It's all the smashing and breaking you could want with almost none of the consequences. Look at pictures of ear piercings and tattoos and pretend that I'm going to get one soon, so I'd get excited about that instead of thinking about what's going on with me now. Constantly pep talking myself. Every time I get to the brink of being overwhelmed with chores and stress, I immediately go, okay, me, you can do this. You can do 2 exercises before 1 p.m. Then only 3 are left and ensure you can copy one. You can do this. You just have to pull it together for like 6 hours and concentrate. I talk to myself like this a good third of the day and it really helps with believing something's doable. The weirdest thing. Probably the repetitive movements or actions I do, like rocking back and forth, patting my hands on the nearest surface, my favorite are large rocks, running my hands through my hair over and over, or knocking on surfaces. Despite the belief of a few of my friends, I do not have autism. I bite my arm without hurting myself, or making it bleed like my hand or wrist. It just lets out my frustration through pain. Ignoring people and situations, I've become somewhat of an expert. Laughing. I broke my arm twice, and laughed my way through the resetting. Lost friends and laughed about the irony of it. Voice cracks on stage in front of 200 to 300 people. Laugh about how I'm apparently still going through puberty at 28. Nothing really holds me back. If I can laugh at it, it gives some healthy perspective, but gets some weird looks when people can't understand why I'm laughing. Once I made all a fail classic mode with 0.6 intensity to make myself happy again. Does that count? I also like to dress up in pink bunny pajamas, actually Eronishi, full body pajamas, because it is comfy and some girls said I looked cute wearing it. Immediately makes me feel better. Talking loudly to myself and going over what will go right and that everything else will fall into place. Not strange in an out there sense, but I'll put on sad or angry music to make myself better when I'm overwhelmed, and it works without fail. The way I see it, I'm letting the singer feel my emotions for me, because I get really bad at expressing them myself, then I can let them go. I play my melodica, takes all my thoughts from everything. Also happy cake day. Controlled breathing, tactical breathing, whatever you want to call it. I get bad anxiety fairly regularly and this helps calm me down. 3 seconds deep breath in, 3 second hold, 3 seconds deep breath out, repeat. One time looking back now, I don't think I was okay. I had an overwhelming feeling that no one liked me. I had a sort of it's a wonderful life moment and pictured how everyone would react if I died. The thought of at least a few people caring helped me calm down. Just to clarify, I wasn't, nor have I ever been, suicidal. I'm also much better now. When I'm having a panic attack I like to count things, typically groups of 3. It keeps me grounded and in the moment, similar to the 5 senses thing, but requires a little less thought. Sometimes trying to remember what the 5 senses are while you're having a panic attack is a little more than is possible. Soccer with mates, followed by couple hours of FIFA, astronomy. I pretend I'm in my favorite movie, TV show, etc. and vent to the characters. Making tiny parachutes. I hope my mom doesn't find my stash, and I hope she doesn't have Reddit. Don't judge too hard now. Imagining the perfect so for yourself, giving it the best qualities, not the ideal ones but healthy ones. Keep building it, and mentally practice being in a relationship with them. The goal being to make yourself a better person and to cope if you've been in a lot of bad past relationships. I have cuddly toys that I heat up in the microwave. They're very soothing to cuddle. It's very effective, but I probably seem a little insane when heating them up. When I'm feeling depressed or down I like to imagine what the chemicals look like floating in my blood and to my brain that make me feel this way. It really puts the feelings into perspective and makes the depression feel more transient. Daydream about going ballistic and ruining the lives in very specific and personal ways of those who've crossed me. I stress over very few things, but when I do get stressed, clicking pens help me calm down. Also, twirling anything stick shape that I can hold, from pens to umbrellas. I act as though I'm in a giant simulation, and that these events that occur are just world events and scripted interactions, sort of like if we lived in WoW and everything was just NPCs with planned interactions and scripts, and that I'm one of the few real players in game. Apathy. If something or someone upsets me, I stop caring about it. Lucid dreaming and reading fiction are my best ways of escaping or clearing my mind. I also don't react to things very emotionally on the outside. I'm pretty stoic when emotions are involved, and I can in essence separate my inner self feelings from my outward facade. Though if I'm crazy overwhelmed I usually go somewhere alone, freak out, break down or cry for a bit. After an emotional downpour I'm usually okay, controlled and ready to move forward. I do shout casting for esports, and when in play-by-play casting team fights or big moments I feel like I let everything I'm stressed out about with the information I'm providing, and I always feel better after. However my throat never does, haha.